Heartbreaking moments on paternity court.
This is every reason why we have to be careful of the choices that we make.
That's right.
People get hurt by this.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith, you are not her father.
A father was here for a second chance. A journey of regrets and heartache brought the plaintiff to court to claim paternity of the daughter he denied 35 years ago. Yup, heard that one right. Let's see whether that daughter accepts this or not.
Mr. Crawford, you say as a young man, you were not ready for the responsibility of being a father and denied paternity of Patricia Liggins. After 35 years of living with denial and regrets,
Mr. Crawford's sister also tagged along with her brother in moral support. Well, he clearly was in desperate need of it, and he denied Miss Liggins 3 decades ago. Oh, I can just feel this isn't gonna be a piece of cake at all.
Miss Crawford, this is truly eating away at your brother.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
How has it been for your family?
It's been kind of up and down because for a long time, we didn't know anything about it. And once he got in touch with her, I realized that it was eating away at him. I knew her mom. We grew up together, grade school. I believe she's ours too.
You do.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, 2 strangers were about to meet for the first time. But they were not only that, they very well could be the father and daughter. However, Miss Liggins had been in the dark her entire life. She had no clue about the existence of this man, and now all the conflicting emotions were ravaging her heart. Poor woman.
I would have to say he's not my father because I've never heard of him in my life. It's been 35 years. No one in my family, not even my Auntie Linda, so I'm surprised that she's here saying that he's my father. My mother, not once has she ever mentioned him. I talked to my great aunt.
Buckle up, people. It's not just a paternity question here. Nuh-uh. It's a tale of life's unexpected twists. Yup. Miss Liggins dove headlong into how she only got to know about this potential father just a year before.
Last year, my aunt and my little sister, they were at I guess some type of barbecue or what have you. And they called me on the phone and I'm thinking like, this has to be a joke. So my aunt gets on the phone, she's like, do you wanna hear from your dad? I'm like, my dad? What dad? Who is that? That type of terminology doesn't even exist to me.
Miss Liggins has been alone and was still alone at the podium as her own aunt was siding with the Crawfords. Miss Shaw claimed she did tell her niece about it, but she denied it. Well, that didn't stop Miss Shaw, as she still remained firm on her claim. And quite boldly, may I add.
I've never heard of this man in my life.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Your Honor, because I know him in the court of law. I've told China about her father. They told her father was dead. That's why she didn't pursue to look for him.
No, I was told that another man was my father my whole life.
I know who her daddy is.
Were you around when her mother dated Mr. Crawford?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Mr. Crawford had been silent all this while, and that won't fly in this court. Nope. He recalled how he and the baby mama ended up together all those years ago. Turns out it was a situationship rather than a relationship.
She had a baby came along and I said, who baby is that? She said, yours. I said, no, I don't think so.
Oh, so you're saying we were intimate with her mother.
Right.
But you all weren't in a committed relationship.
No, we weren't.
You weren't boyfriend and girlfriend.
No, we was not.
Baby.
So this was just like,
I get together.
so you had a sexual encounter.
Yes.
It was just one story after another. Years of all this drama and the choices that these guys made ended up breaking the defendant down, right in the middle of the court. Guess she had enough of their sordid tales.
This is a horrible situation. This is every reason why we have to be careful of the choices that we make. We cannot.
That's right.
People get hurt by this.
Yeah.
God, this is. Oh God, I'm just here for answers. Again, I don't have anything against this gentleman here. I'm just torn.
Next up, we heard the tale through Miss Shaw. And when I say she had a way with words, you better believe me. Man, oh man, she enlightened the court the time the deed was done that resulted in Miss Liggins. And she was graphic.
I don't know why would you even sit here and lie. The first time I found out was last year. I would have reached out to him myself if I heard about him. Why wait now? People keep secrets all the time, and secrets you need to speak up. Closed mouth doesn't get fed. You have to talk about things. You can't just keep things to yourself.
Have you ever wondered what life without a father was like? Well, you're about to get glimpses of it. Miss Liggins did make peace with the fact she would never have a father, but the reality of his absence still reared its head in her life from time to time.
I call myself Lion-Hearted Liggins because I have to put on this shell, like I'm just by myself, strong and determined and being my own father, trying to find my way, making mistakes and not having that man there to tell me like, okay, he isn't good for you.
The plaintiff had spent his whole life haunted by that one choice where he denied this girl, but he had enough of that now. He was stepping up, and he did so when he started checking up on the defendant daily since the year before. So much so, she got annoyed. For real.
She didn't see me at first. She seen my sister and said, "You have a niece." And she said, "I've been to call for y'all." That's the first time I started speaking with her. And
Right, and he would
when
text
she
me
asked
every day.
she
I even
realized
started
when I
calling him
found out, I
Pops.
started texting her.
From
You
that day
did
forward.
from the moment.
From that day
Till
till
he
now.
would text me every day. I kind of got irritated by it.
This whole ordeal was emotional to say the least, but not just for the baby daddy, but also for his sister, as his choices robbed her of a potential niece as well. And now she was on the path of redemption as well, right alongside with the rest of them.
Mr. Crawford, during that time, you testified that you denied it was your baby. When she said, "This is your baby," you said, "No, it's not."
I had denied it on the thing about me having intercourse with her on July, and they saying she was born in January.
Yeah,
Didn't add up to
premature.
me.
But we learned that she was premature, so she wouldn't be on the roster of conception.
3 decades-long paternity puzzle was about to be solved in a few moments. The lifelong answer that the plaintiff wanted was about to be revealed shortly. Whether Miss Liggins finally gets a father, or if that void still remains, let's see.
Mr. Crawford, you are not the father.
Man.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Miss
Can I
Liggins.
hug you? Are you here for you?
The plaintiff was taken up by a whirlpool of revelations and uncertainties when she recently got to know that the father who raised her wasn't her biological father. Now, Miss Webster brought the defendant to court in hopes of seeking the truth.
Ms. Webster, you recently learned shocking news that Myron Smith, the man you believe to be your dad and who paid child support for you, may not be your biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Ware, to paternity court to prove that he is your father and claim today's results will prove your case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, the cat was out of the bag now. Apparently, Miss Webster got the whiff of this revelation through the salon she worked at. And when she couldn't get a concrete answer from her father, her curiosity led her to do her own digging. And so she did.
I worked in a beauty salon with some of his relatives, and they always kind of had something against me. I heard a relative say that that's not none of your father. I started questioning. I asked my mom, I talked to Mr. Smith, like, why are they saying that I'm not a part of their family? He said, "You will always be my daughter. I believe in my heart that you are, and no matter what."
Mr. Ware got to narrate his side of the story, and he was firm on the belief he didn't father the plaintiff. Now, why was he so sure about that? Because the baby mama had said so in the past, and he never questioned her again.
Did you ever do the math and think about when she possibly was conceived and whether or not you were in a relationship with her mother at that time?
No, Your Honor. At that time, being, I believe, around 15, 16 years old, I didn't know anything about timelines.
So you just took her word for it?
Yes.
Not having a father tortured the heart of the defendant so much that she went to the church for any kind of answer. It was clear as day she was desperate. Her tears were proof enough. However, she revealed she did get a sign, but the defendant still dismissed it. Quick and painful.
I've just been praying, that I find out who my father is. There's things in my life, there's roadblocks and stumbles I've been going through. There's things goals I'm achieving, and knowing who my father is one of them. And I came to the Lord. I went to the altar. They had altar call, and I went up and I just prayed that God give me a sign to reveal.
The daughter was still hopeful though, and she brought along a witness too. It was her mother's cousin, and she knew more about their life apparently than they themselves. Interesting. However, she did give her theory as to why the mommy claimed the defendant wasn't the father.
In the household with Demisha's mother, Miss Webster,
Okay.
Mr. Ware was like a part of our family. I know what Miss Webster may have told him, that he wasn't the father, but I believe in my heart when Miss Webster left Louisville to move back to Dayton, Ohio, that she left her pregnant.
Next up, we got to hear from the father that raised and paid child support for the plaintiff all this time, but didn't believe he was the one who fathered her. And he brought along the good old conception calendar to back up his claim.
See, right there, she was born September the 17th. Last time I was home on leave was late November. So in order for her to be born in September, she had to be conceived either late December or early January. I was in Fort Hood, Texas.
And if you come home for Thanksgiving, that's too far away.
Yeah,
That's
that would make Miss Brady 42 weeks pregnant.
About time the mother dearest joined the court and shed some light on what was actually going on. The person who started it all. Yep. Now she came and claimed that the father who raised Miss Webster was the real deal. Could it get any more complicated?
But Mr. Smith also came home on leave. Once we got together, Mr. Smith went back to the service, and then I was pregnant. When Mr. Smith called me one day, I said, you know what? I'm pregnant.
I've never received that call, Your Honor.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
You don't remember this conversation,
No,
Mr.
I don't,
Smith?
not at all.
A web of secrets that has kept this story hidden for long enough. Miss Webster deserves to get the answers she needs. The only concrete proof was the contents of that envelope, so let's get right to it then.
Mr. Smith, you are not her father. Are you surprised?
Hurt? Yes. Surprised? No.
I thank you for everything that you've done for me.
Always, baby.
I appreciate you, and like you said,
Always. Always, sweetie.
Mr. Hines was here to unravel the truth once and for all. The defendant recently dropped a life-altering bomb on him that left him questioning everything. Now, he was at the mercy of the paternity court, while baby daddy was prepared to prove him wrong.
Mr. Hines, just 2 weeks ago, you were shocked when the defendant revealed to you that he is not your biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that he is, in fact, your father.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the plaintiff wasted no time in tackling this situation straight up, and he had a colorful description of his father, who just now claimed he didn't even father him. Mr. Hines was giving this dude a piece of his mind, and he wasn't done doing so.
He pops out, not even him. His girlfriend pops out and say, hey, won't you tell him about what his aunt said? I look around, what did my aunt say? She said you might not be mine.
You're 36 years
Yes,
old,
ma'am.
and 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And I'm looking like, huh? I kind of just blew it off.
In 1989, baby daddy vanished and never looked back. Wow, classic case of a deadbeat dad. It was only fair that the son was now pouring his heart out to him, and the guy took it all in silence. Whether he was biding his time or he knew he was at fault, only time will tell.
He was not in your life as a father.
I hadn't seen him since I was a kid, since 1989. We out and about. She said, look, there go your father on the poster. I looks up, it's a wanted poster for child support for $24,000. That's the picture that I seen of my father. That's my first time. I said, oh, that's him? Yeah, that's him. We took down the poster board.
By the looks of it, the son did everything he was supposed to and more, and still he was shunned by his father. And some of the things that he did, the defendant apparently didn't even know of. Wow, clueless much?
Motive. That's why he's challenging everything. No man is going, after 6 years, no man is going to go to court and see if he's a child or not. After I've been living with you for 6 years, I was the only one there for him. This man was on his deathbed 2 years ago.
Now, what made Mr. Hines so certain that this guy wasn't his son? Well, there was only one conclusion. Yep, you guessed it too, cheating. However, the son had even more shocking news to share that blew the roof off. Oh, now this was a twist.
His mother cheated on me.
She did.
A lot of times.
When you were in a relationship with her.
Before he was born.
So why would you wait 36 years to say something?
Her sister came down and told me all this junk about he was my son.
This sister that he speaks of is been dead for 13 years.
Next up, the baby daddy claimed it wasn't about the money. Hard to believe that after hearing what the son had to say. but he stood by his claim and revealed who was the one who pushed him in this direction.
Did you sign the birth certificate when Devin was born?
Yes, ma'am.
If you believe she was messing around, why would you sign his birth certificate?
Because I thought he was my child.
At that time, you did?
Yes, ma'am.
So what caused you to doubt?
Somebody told me.
Who?
Her sister.
So there was a family member.
Yes, ma'am.
Finally, Mrs. Hines graced the court with her presence, and she clearly wasn't a fan of her husband. Not at all. However, what she revealed was definitely enough for one to be done with someone. Hear for yourselves.
He's lying about everything.
I'm not lying.
Please explain.
For one thing, 2 weeks ago, you got a letter saying that you getting an increase on your Social Security.
I did not get no letters like that.
You had to get a letter to say you were going to get an increase in your Social Security.
Yeah, my check. Yeah,
they increased the child support payments.
No.
Dear Lord. See, it's stuff like this that makes you question what even was the truth. Mrs. Hines wasn't done speaking her mind. Nope. It seemed she had been holding on to all this information all these years. And now, the pressure cooker burst.
You never caught me with any man.
Yes, I have.
No, you. All
Jumping out my windows and everything I get
You
off
was
work.
lying. Oh, you lying. He's lying.
I come home from work, knock on the door, put my key in the door, I hear something boom, boom, boom upstairs. I goes upstairs, my window up, door locked. She opened the door, jump back in the bed, put the covers over here. No,
you're lying.
Mr. Hines was one persistent fella. He didn't budge from his story, even though he had not presented any substantial evidence to back it up. His son was devastated, obviously, as he said what he couldn't say for the last 36 years or so.
He's a habitual liar.
You know.
He's a deadbeat dad.
You know.
Okay.
I got to pay child support and had no job.
Who are you paying child support now for?
Who are you paying child support for now?
That would be I that he paying for.
Bam!
And that's the increasement that he just got. So now it's, oh, you ain't mine neither.
Wow, this family drama had gone on for 42 years. So why did the husband want to change their situation now? That was the million-dollar question, though. All came back on the word of a family member, and the wife wasn't buying that story. Nope.
I called, they kept me away from her. I asked him, what's her telephone number? Where she live at? She don't want you to have it.
So you're saying you could not get in contact with his mother?
I want a divorce.
Oh, so were you angry because she wouldn't give you a divorce, so you decided to tell him I'm not your father?
No, ma'am. No.
It wasn't a paternity question. It was a paternity circus. And Mr. Hines was the only one whose emotions were being played the most. He had been a dutiful son all this time, but all he received was rejection. Time for the results.
Mr. Hines, you are the father.
Thank you. You didn't cheat on me.
Told you it's a motive.
Mr. Hines, I'm gonna give you a moment that you need to take. What do you have to say to him?
I still love him. I still love you.